மீடியா உங்கள் கனவா? படிக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் இன்டர்ன்ஷிப், பிளேஸ்மெண்ட் அசிஸ்டன்ஸ். பாண்டே ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் ஜர்னலிசம் ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோர்ஸில் உடனே சேர 7338824242.
I'm sure that all of us are convinced that Amrit Kaal has begun. And by going the number of times he was applauded by the treasury benches, I think he should be in line for a ministership now. I wish him well. If all is well in the world and God is in his heaven and India is growing at the fastest rate in the world, why is the impact of that growth not felt on the ground? This is the question which my friend Derek asked, and I try to supplement that in the few minutes I have. We are a large economy. We are growing at the fastest rate in the world. We are innovative. We have the largest FDI coming into the country. But why is it not seen on the ground? And I specifically want to ask, why is it not seen in the inflation numbers and the unemployment numbers? Let's take only those two. Now, what are the unemployment numbers? And I'm going by official numbers. The government doesn't like the CMIE numbers, so we'll avoid the CMIE numbers. Mercifully, the BJP no longer talks about 2 crore jobs being created every year. Thank you for small mercies that you are not making these tall claims. That's one of the election jumlas. I didn't know the word jumla unless I heard it first from the Honorable Home Minister. Now let's focus on a few numbers. This is official numbers of the periodic labor survey. The worker population rate in this country is 46%, which means the number of workers to the population is 46. It's quite low, but let's take it as acceptable given the various circumstances of the country. Of the worker population, that is 46% of the total population, male worker population is 69%, but the female is only 22%. Of the worker population, less than 50% actually work. So if you apply 50% on 46%, effectively it means only that 23% of the people work. This has more or less been constant in the last 9.5 years of the BJP government. Now, why, I ask, if we have such scintillating growth, why is this numbers not improving? Now, my learned friend Derek O'Brien gave the numbers. In the age group 15 to 24, the unemployment rate is 23.22. Among graduates under the age of 25, the unemployment rate is 42%. Graduates between the year 25 to 29, it is still 23%. Graduates between the years of 30 to 34, it is close to 10%. It's 9.8%. A graduate in this country, and I spoke at a college, I said, I'm not frightening you, but you will graduate here. But unfortunately, 1 out of 4 will be unemployed. And even until the age of 35, 1 out of 10 will be unemployed. Why is this spirited growth, scintillating growth, not turning into jobs? That's the first question I'm asking. And keep in mind, most employment in this country is self-employment, 57%. Regular wage employees has declined from 24% to 21%. Apart from the quantity, the quality of employment is also poor. So I want the government to answer, why is this 10-year splendid period not reflecting in employment figures? The second one is about price rise. And on price rise, yes, inflation has come down in the last couple of months. I'm not disputing that. But please remember that even today, the CPI inflation is above the tolerance limit of 4 to 6% of the RBI. Food and light inflation is 4.3. Fuel and light inflation is 4.3. Food inflation is 9.2. What does the combination of high unemployment and high prices, what does it mean? It means that, and I think Derek hinted at that, it means that there is a cut, the impact will be felt in the cut in domestic consumption, cut in household consumption. The impact is you borrow more. Credit growth is driven in this country, according to the RBI, on personal loans and gold loans. The net financial assets of households has plummeted to the lowest level, 5.1%. What does this mean? It means that people are consuming less, people are borrowing more, they are liquidating their household assets and savings, and the net financial savings has come down to a historical low, a 50-year low of 5.1%. It also shows up elsewhere. It shows up, for example, in matters like child malnutrition. I'll just give you the numbers of child malnutrition, and are shocking numbers. They're shocking numbers of child malnutrition. Today, among children, you will find that 16.3% of children are undernourished, 19.3% of children are wasted, 35.5% of children are stunted. It shows up again in the food that the children get. And add to that Derek's numbers, under the age of 5, so many people die because of hunger. Why is it not showing up in consumption? It also shows up in education. Their mental growth. Today, in a class 8, only 70% of the children can read a class 2 text. And only 45% of children can do basic arithmetic. In class 8, you can't do basic arithmetic, you can't read a class 2 text. So ultimately, the question is, who is this government for? Is it for the poor, or is its policy so skewed that it is favor of the rich? The numbers are undisputed. I have not seen a single government spokesman dispute these numbers. 23 crore people of India are poor when the poverty bar is very low. Poverty bar is 1,286 rupees per month per person in urban areas and 1,089 rupees per month per person in rural areas. with such a low poverty such a low poverty bar, 23 crore people are poor. And it shows up in inequality. The bottom 50% owns 3% of national wealth and gets 13% of the national income. And the top 5% owns 60% of national wealth, and top 1% holds 22% of the national income. So ultimately, this growth is unacceptable. This kind of growth is unacceptable. We need more balanced growth. But then I end with the final question that I've been asking the government for many, many months, for which I have not got an answer. I hope I will get an answer today. In 91-92, India's GDP was 25 lakh crore. In 12 years, in 2003-04, it doubled to 50 lakh crore, doubled. In 10 years, under UPA, it doubled to 100 lakh crore, 25 to 50 to 100. I ask one simple question. If you are growing at such a fast rate, such a record-breaking rate, will you, when you end your term today in 2023-24, will 100 lakh crore become 200 lakh crore? The Finance Minister, Honorable Finance Minister knows the answer. I know the answer. You know the answer. But I want the Honorable Finance Minister, to say
the answer is known to the Finance Minister, the former Finance Minister. I'm out of it.
Whether the GDP will double in their Amrit Kal period under the NDA government, will it grow to 200 lakh crore by March 2024? And I want the Honorable Finance Minister to answer that question. Thank you, sir.
Sir, it was a bit surprising, sir. It was a bit surprising, and it was also uncharacteristic, I would say, to see the former Finance Minister, who's very senior, highly educated, was in the prestigious Harvard University even in 1968 when I was in primary school. But he wholeheartedly concurred and sort of rode on the arguments provided by Derek O'Brien. He took his name more than 3-4 times. Hang on. I've sought the permission of the House. The honorable members here, with respect, I'm giving my observation. There's no other way in which a light-hearted observation can be accommodated. I started thinking, was it an attempt to placate the All India Trinamool Congress to come and attend the ... alliance? Because they seem to be hot and cold. What is it? I didn't understand. Because much before you could come to talking about the economy, that happened. And I said, oh my God, now this is all between All India Trinamool Congress and Congress. The dotted alliance needs them, and they seem to be hot and cold.
Take it. Oh. I had the occasion to make a reference to Mr. Derek O'Brien's name on 3 occasions. And we had a very quick comment from Jairam Ramesh. Is something cooking, something like that you said? Am I right, Jairam? When I took name of Derek O'Brien 3 times on a particular day, the record shows it, you made a comment. Similar kind of comment was made.
So no comparison with you, sir. But sir, I just want to say, no, come on. I sought his permission for a banter, right? Thank you. So the former finance minister made a very linear comparison as to how the GDP has grown from 1991-92, 25 lakh crore, and then 50 lakh crore, and then 100 lakh crores, and so on, and then wondered if I will say that by the end of 23-24, India will have 100 lakh crore as the GDP. That is, if I understood, if I heard him right, he said going by the trend of doubling every 10 years, it might. So I'm confident that the question is asked with a certain sense of confidence that the Indian economy and people are contributing for its growth. But I would only refer to one editorial which appears today in a paper. I'm not saying my view, but if you would permit me, and I will also do an authentication and everything else, there is an editorial in the Economic Times today which says, a $4 trillion plus we go. GDP expected to catch up in the coming fiscal. And goes to elaborate, and there's just one line that I'll read for the House, for the benefit of the House, and I quote, as India's GDP rises, would the market cap rise in tandem? Though there is no direct correlation, there could be significant wealth effects that provide tailwinds to the economy. Retail investors own 10% of the equity, about $400 billion, and their share has been rising. That should help consumption, which accounts for close to 60% of the GDP. So, linking that to the growth of the GDP itself, this write-up, which is an editorial in a paper, which is a pink paper, which observes the Indian economy, we get a picture and a probable answer to the former finance minister. Sir, then the worker population ratio was also another issue that the Honorable former finance minister raised. I just want to highlight, incorrect it was for him to suggest that the worker population ratio has not improved. There is, obviously he's done some kind of a, if you permit me, whimsical calculation there and then, and which serves him well, and the interpretation is not right. As per the PLFS, that is the Periodic Labour Force Survey, WPR, the worker population ratio, that is the share of the employed in the total population, has increased to 56% in 2022-23 from 46.8% in 2017-18. And I underline the fact that this is post-COVID, that it has gone up to 56%. So there is an increase in the worker population ratio, and this is government's data. So youth unemployment rate, that is the age between 15 to 29, has declined. Unemployment rate has declined to 10% in 2022-23 from 17.8% in 17-18. So there, the unemployment is also declined, while youth LFPR has expanded from 38% to 44.5% over the same period. So unemployment is coming down. You have the data to show it's also, employment is also going up. In fact, sir, WPR in 2005 was 42%, which fell to 38.6% in 2011-12. So fall happened then. Then, despite a COVID, which is a once-in-a-century pandemic, we have revived the employment, and the data shows that very clearly. And also, sir, the various schemes that we have, Mudra or Swanidhi and so on, are promoting self-employment, particularly the lower sections of our society. More than 25 lakh crores have been dispersed to over 44 crore Mudra accounts. 68% of them are women. They do their own business and probably employ one or two more people there. 73 lakh street vendors have availed of cheap credit under PM Swanidhi program, and even in that, 44% are women. So I think the hard work and the entrepreneurial spirit of the Indian youth who go in for small self-employment cannot be ignored. at convenience and cannot be raised saying, oh, the poor are without jobs at some other time. There should be some kind of a alignment. So this was raised by very many members, other than former Finance Minister Kanimuri, Dr. Ashok Kumar Mittal, and also Sujit Kumarji, Jose K. Mani, all of them had raised this issue. So then the attempt to bring more employment, self-employment among women is also shown by the program that has been recently launched. And I saw with my eyes when I went to the rural areas, particularly with the Vikasit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, I saw the excitement among women because Namo Drone Didi program is an amazing reception that I saw, where the women self-help group women are being picked up based on their interest, to be given 15 days of training to operate drone, and subsequently in the 15 days, 5 days will be also on the field where they will go and test for themselves how to operate it, because they can use for spraying of fertilizers, for monitoring the crop health and so on. So they are going to be given drones as well through their SHGs. So women are now going to be handling technology-driven drones in the villages to help agricultural activity, and what can be more empowering for the women in the rural areas. Government's idea is to distribute 15,000, provide 15,000 drones to self-help groups, and for this an outlay of 1,261 crores. This scheme is 100% funded by the central government for a period between 2024-25 and 25-26. 2 years, this scheme will reach all the women in the rural areas so that they're trained in technologically handling this drone. Sir, concern has been expressed about inflation and inflation management. Quite a few members, Rajiv Shuklaji, Ashok Mittalji, Derek O'Brien, all raised the issue. Sir, average inflation during 2014-15 up to 2023-24 has only been around 5.5%. Now, since 2014, the retail inflation breached the number and reached the highest point of 7.79 in April 2022. I concede that. But by contrast, of course, because that is important to remind ourselves, that between 2004 and 14, the average inflation was 8.1%. So I just want this number to be in the back of our minds. And in between 2009 to 14, 2009 to 2014, the average inflation was 10.4%, double-digit inflation. So I just want that to be highlighted. We have taken quite a few steps to make sure that I know the Consumer Affairs Minister, the Food Minister Piyush Goyal, the Leader of the House, has been on and off releasing pulses, on and off releasing onions from the godown, from the buffer stock. Procurement and distribution of tomatoes and onions are happening as and when there is a need. Imposition of stock limits have been on pulses and wheat. Our trade policy also sees changes so that our buffer is kept safely for ourselves. And import restrictions and quotas have been introduced on specific commodities. More than that, sir, you would recall that the Honorable Prime Minister, before Raksha Bandhan, had brought down the price of cylinders by 200 rupees. And this impacted 9.8 crore Ujjwala beneficiaries, and who now get 300 rupees subsidy, and the cylinder costs 603 rupees only for them. And similarly, it has been mentioned by several people, the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana provides 81.35 crore beneficiaries for the next 5 years food grains for free. Contrast this with those states which, when we reduce the duty on petrol and diesel, did not reduce And some of those states were lost by those ruling dispensation because it kept the price very high. And I would just recall that Punjab, Rajasthan were all such states who refused to budge. On the contrary, Punjab even raised the price. So, Himachal also. So, these are states which are going against the well-being of the poor, but question us, saying, oh, you're not taking care of the poor. Why wouldn't you want to reduce the price? We have done it 3 times, and now it's come down to 603 per cylinder, sir. That's right. Sir, and that is why people rejected them. Petrol and diesel being the highest price, sir, you come from Rajasthan, and in that state, the price has remained very high. Inflation as a result has been high. No wonder the people have rejected them.